the in-laws have been having, they're 87 years old. And they're not really that active, but they've been having bowel issues, mainly constipation. Now, his dad is a big believer in taking whatever laxatives he can get his hands on. And so I'm just putting some water in a jug here. I'm not a big believer in over-the-counter self-medicating like he has been. And yesterday, mum-in-law was in a lot of pain with constipation, mainly down to their diet. They don't drink enough, and what they do drink is usually dairy based, like cappuccinos, hot chocolates, that type of thing. They eat a lot of biscuits, they eat a lot of white processed bread, a lot of processed snacks, very little fruit. The only vegetables they eat is what I serve up with their evening meal. So I'm trying to introduce more into their diet. I'm not trying to keep them alive longer. That's in the hands of the gods, fate, whatever. It's more to keep them comfortable. And his mum yesterday was laid up, spent most of the day in the bathroom in agony with constipation. So I made her up a batch of homemade prune juice from some of our dried plums, and by the evening time, after persuading her to have a bit of natural yoghurt as well, and she'd been sipping this prune juice all through the day, which I added some flaxseed to as well, she'd managed to go and she was feeling a lot better in herself. So I'm going to try and make sure I've got batches of it made up in the fridge and try and get them to have small amounts every day. I do know with elderly people, as they get older, their bowels start to not work as they used to, mainly because they're not active enough and they're not drinking enough water. So we need to try and increase the fluids. This is all just to keep their remaining years, whatever time they've got, keep them comfortable. And it also makes things that little bit easier for us if they're not complaining that they're not feeling well. So I'm just about to make up a batch, so join me here. Right. Oops. This is some of our dried plums from earlier in the year. So I'm just adding a handful into some water to rehydrate them up again. The thing with plums is dried plums are called prunes, and they're full of fibre, and they contain a natural sorbitol, which is can help with bowel problems, a natural laxative. So now, to make it that little bit more tasty, I'm adding some maple syrup, because I'm trying to keep them off the white processed sugar that they seem to enjoy, and they're going through by the bucketful. So I'm just going to leave them to soak, and then once they've soaked, I shall blitz them, add a bit more water, blitz them up in the blender with a tablespoon of flaxseed. And then I've got a little bit left from yesterday I can show you. Right, so that. So, and they can both have a bit of that with their breakfast this morning, their toast. That's what they like to have in the morning, toast. There's no more biscuits, they've all gone now, and I'm not buying in any more for them. And I'm not buying in all the sugar-coated cereals either. They're okay as an occasional treat, but not every day. So, right, so that is that job done for the day. And leftover orange juice and some of the prune juice that was sitting in the fridge as going into containers to be frozen, so they'll just be single portions ready to take out and use. Right, I'm making up a batch of chicken and vegetable soup, which I will blitz down. This is just some minced chicken from out the freezer, mixed vegetables from out the freezer and some chicken stock. And this will be a soup for the oldies when they say they're not hungry and they don't want anything to eat, which happens several times a week. I know that old people have smaller appetites, but it's like tonight. I know his dad is going to refuse dinner. He's already refused breakfast, he's refused lunch. He's now in bed, wrapped up because he's feeling cold, which is what happens when he doesn't eat. And so I'm making up some soup, so tonight he will just have a little portion of soup. Better than absolutely nothing. So I'm just cooking that down, and then I will freeze the rest of it into these little blocks, and they can go in the freezer, and then they're just ready to pull out, defrost, warm up. So that's just another just easy little thing to do, and it just to say it avoids argument. There we go, that's the chicken and vegetable soup cooling down, ready to go in the freezer, all portioned up. Then it can just be served with a bit of wholemeal seeded bread and butter. Just what you need when you haven't got an appetite and you're feeling under the weather. On the subject of eating, something I've found works very well with his parents, with them both having dementia and both being at different stages of dementia, is the plates that they use. These plates, I've got half a dozen of them in different colours, get them on Amazon, and I use these for lunch. So this is their what I call picky food. So the bits of crisps, maybe some chunks of cucumber, tomato, peppers, some bits of fruit and nuts, and always a sweet treat for afterwards, you know, perhaps a few little bits of cold sausage or anything like that, any finger food. So I do find finger food goes down very well at lunchtime. Little pizza slices, anything like that. Main meal, bright coloured plates. His mum has a big sight issue and cannot, as you can see, these are our dining plates, and she can't differentiate a lot of her food on a white or off-white plate. So when, for example, if she's got something like potatoes or rice, or she can't tell where it is on the plate. So, of course, on a red plate, she can. I'm looking for something around, something more white to show you, but I can't see anything. So using a brightly coloured plate, like a red, a blue or a green, or even a bright orange plate, she can actually tell where her food is, which makes it easier so she doesn't get so frustrated. The other thing is the size of the plate. This is a plate Martin will eat off of. That's my usual dinner plate size, and this is a size I give his parents, so you can see it's considerably smaller. If I was to put on a big plate like that for them, it's too overwhelming, it looks too much. I can do the correct size portion on there, it looks like they're getting a nice place full, but it's a portion size appropriate to the amount they will eat, so it's not so overwhelming. So, and a nice heavy plate. I don't like using flimsy china or anything with them. And the other thing when I lay the table, I put down a spoon and a fork, so they have the option for what they want to use, and they generally end up using both because it makes it easier with their hand-eye coordination to scoop the food up rather than use just a knife and fork. So I hope that's been of some use to somebody, and take care everybody, and I'll speak to you again soon.